Welcome back, everyone, to Poppin' Often with Lofton. Today, we're going to be talking about Lost Ark. Which class should I use to level up? This is not going to be an in-game guide, okay? I know some of y'all be thinking, well, that class doesn't do that because it's not an in-game guide. The reason why I say that is because a lot of these classes do change towards in-game, and they function a little bit different sometimes based off what you want to spec them out to be. Speccing means that you want to make them do specific things that you can go into their abilities technically and make specific things happen, make specific things stronger. It gets pretty in-depth later into the game. Early leveling wise though, I'm going to be focusing more on that. So we're going to be talking about how these classes function from the start of the game to in-game. That way you guys can make a very good decision without having to be like, hey, I don't really like this class and I'm midway through, you know what I mean? So we're going to talk about every single class and I'm going to explain what they are like when you are leveling them up to give you guys an idea of what you're in for later, okay? So first class we have is Warrior. We have three advanced classes for Warrior. We have Berserker, Gun Lancer, and Paladin. Berserker, pretty much your frontline tank, beefy, doesn't really care about his teammates, honestly. He just wants to be beefy. You do have a damage buff and whatnot later on into the game, but nobody cares about it because you don't care about nothing but yourself. You're all in the fight, you're really tanky, which is cool, and you have a lot of burst damage. You are that guy that's a typical warrior, typical berserker, right? You just kind of go berserk, and you are a lot of damage while still being tanky. That's pretty much what he is. When you think of Berserker, you think of that, and that is pretty much what he is in this game. Next, we have Gun Lancer. Gun Lancer is your traditional tank. It feels more like you are the protector of everybody. You have a lot of crowd control. You have a lot of abilities to protect yourself. He's really like, I want to be in the front, and I want to stay in the front. If you want to get to my team, you're gonna have to get through me. Like, that's the type of character that this guy kind of feels like when you are playing the Gun Lancer. Paladin. Paladin is more of a spell weaver. So you're thinking of melee attacks mixed with magic damage. Now he does have buffs that buff the team and things like that. And you know, he has all that later, which is cool. But if we're talking about just kind of leveling up process, he feels like a spell weaver. You're pretty much just playing a tank that can do melee damage along with magic damage. That's pretty much what this class is. Next, we have Mage. So there's two advanced classes for Mage. We have Bard and we have Sorceress. Now I think Bard is pretty funny in this game because of the simple fact that they didn't put the subclass under Archer, right? Usually Bards are like Archers, but in this game they made it a Mage. And I think that's really cool for the perspective of players because it feels like, oh, Bard's Mage. That's way cooler than Bard just being an Archer, right? Or something like that. When you're playing Bard, she's more of a party-oriented character. A lot of her things are CCs, which is crowd control. A lot of her things are buffs and whatnot. She can play for herself, but you would be better off playing the Sorceress if you really want to play a Mage. That is a little bit more selfish. Bard, even when you're leveling up, still kind of feels like a team player rather than just like a solo mage. Like I said, she's pretty typical. You have CC, you have buffs for your team, you have heals for your team. That's pretty much what Bard is. She's a more supportive character. Next, we have Sorceress. Once again, your typical mage, typical black mage, whatever you would think of. You have electric attacks, you have fire attacks, explosions, bam booms, like typical mage. Nothing fantastic about it. I mean, it's fantastic, but you know, nothing special. Nothing would be like, you get in the game like, holy, this is something new to me. It's pretty typical. Next, we have War Dancer. So this is the martial artist class for the female. Typical fighter, typical quick attacks, which you would strictly see most of the time when you think of like a Street Fighter character. This is pretty much what War Dancer is. When you are leveling up, it feels like a Street Fighter character. Next, we have Scrapper. So Scrapper's a little bit different. The reason why I say that is because Scrapper's a little bit slower, but their hits pack a punch. So if you're like, man, I like haymakers. I want to make these guys feel it. Like that's what Scrapper feels like. It feels like you're making haymakers. It feels like every single attack you do is boom to the face, right? That's what a Scrapper feels like. Next, we have Soul Fist. Soul Fist is more or less just a fighter imbued with like magic powers, pretty much a soul fighter. Like you know when you see games where like the fighters have like tiger spirits and like turtle spirits and like phoenix spirits. I'm thinking of League of Legends, I'm not gonna lie. But pretty much when you're thinking about a character that has those type of powers, you get this one. You can kind of think of it like Dragon Ball Z. You know, they can fight, they can scrap, you know, look at the Kamehameha. They can fight, they can scrap, but you know, they also have those magical ki blasts and they have the beams and they have this just special like groundbreaking thing. Like that's pretty much what a soul fighter is. It's kind of like a Dragon Ball Z character, I'm not gonna lie. Next, we have the martial artist for the male, Striker. Once again, it just basically feels like a Street Fighter character. Later on to the game, like I said, with all these classes, they do feel a little bit different, but if we're leveling it up, it feels kind of like a Street Fighter character. Both of them, they feel just like Street Fighter characters. Now, with the gunner, we have three classes here. We have Sharpshooter, we have Deadeye, and we have Artillerist. Sharpshooter Sharpshooter is typically your archer. It has a little hawk that flies around with you, but Sharpshooter is pretty much an archer. If you like archers, that is what Sharpshooter is basically like. Next, we have Deadeye. Deadeye is pretty much your typical gunslinger. It functions just like one. You have 3 weapons. You have dual pistols, you have a shotgun, and you have a sniper. And you cycle through all of them and you use your abilities and whatnot. It's kind of a difficult class to get into, but once you get it down, it's not as hard as you would think. Pretty much, it is exactly how a gunslinger would act. If you thought of a gunslinger in any type of game, that's pretty much what Deadeye does. Artillerist, more of your big bang gun type weapons. You got the flamethrowers, you got the grenade launchers, you got the machine guns, like you just ripping it in. You pretty much are sitting there kind of slow, I'm not gonna lie, but you are sitting there just messing things up. That's pretty much what Artillerist is like. Like you are the big bang heavy pack type of gunner. Next we have Gunner for the female. So this is called Gunslinger. It pretty much levels up kind of like the Deadeye. The only difference between these two towards late game, I believe, is that you have to space yourself out a little bit more with Gunslinger, whereas with Deadeye, you have to be up close, you know, you have to do back attacks to really get your damage down. So the difference is, in later into the game, is that, you know, one has to be a little bit closer than the other, but for the most part, they level up, they function pretty much the same. Next, we have the Assassin, we have Deathblade, and we have Shadowhunter. So Deathblade is your typical assassin. It's the one that does the quick hits, the nice abilities, she's really, really fast, really, like, it's just a typical assassin, pretty much. Whenever you think of assassin, that's how this would play, and that's exactly what you would be in for. Then we have Shadowhunter. So Shadowhunter is more of an assassin mixed with a demon, basically. Your powers are more demonic. You got more magicness to it, like more demon magic to it. You can also then transform to then have different abilities and whatnot. You transform into a different being and you have different abilities and you're quicker and things like that. You can kind of see it there. She turned into something else. So really cool. If you want to think of it, it's kind of like if I want to think about the demon character, you would really kind of think of like a vampire assassin type of thing, where you're more demonic that way. But yep, we're just demonic power assassin. You're kind of slower, but you hit harder in terms of your abilities and whatnot, and you have a lot more oomph in your kit than a typical assassin would. So I did want to keep this short. I didn't want to make it too long because I wanted you guys to just be able to watch this and hop right into your game with whatever classes you would like. As I said before, the skills are pretty in-depth later on. I'm just talking about the leveling process, what it feels like leveling it up. The way that it functions later might feel a little bit different to you, and that's okay because that's the way that it's supposed to be designed. But if you're talking about the start of the game to the end game, it feels exactly how I explained it, okay? So for those of you that might be thinking, well, this functions like this doesn't work like that, because that's not what I'm not talking about in game. I'll do that with like guides, if you guys want to see them. I'll do that with guides. But for the most part, this is just talking about how they typically would feel to a new player when they do come into the game, because that's what most of us are, new players, right? So I'm just gonna do a quick recap. Really fast, less than a minute. Here we go. Berserker, frontliner, a lot of damage. Gun Lancer, I want to be in the front. I'm the frontliner. If you want to get to my team, you got to go through me. Paladin, I like to use swords and I like to use magic. Get messed up. I got a few buffs though for my team. Mage, what we have now is we have Bard and we have a Sorceress. Bard is more of a supportive character, got buffs, got heals, got a lot of CC. Sorceress is more of like a bam bam, I want to kill everybody, I got a lot of damage, I don't care about my team, just protect me so I can blow everything up. Martial artist, we have War Dancer, Scrapper, Soulfist. War Dancer, Street Fighter character. Scrapper, I hit you hard, I hit you once, you're probably gonna die, goodbye. And then Soulfist, more of like a spell imbued type of fighter. You fight with like animal spirit. It's not really animal spirits, but I'm just saying that because that's the best way I can explain it. More of like a Dragon Ball Z character. You got a lot of magic with you. Martial artist striker. This is pretty much once again a Street Fighter character. Now the difference between this guy and the girl version later on into the game, I can say this, is that this guy is more about burst damage while the War Dancer is more about sustained damage. I think that's kind of the best way I can kind of sum that up. Gunner for the male. So we have Sharpshooter, Deadeye, Artillerist. Sharpshooter, typical archer. Deadeye, typical gunslinger. Artillerist, big bang, heavy artillery is pretty much what this character is about. Gunslinger. So pretty much, once again, it is basically the class that is a typical gunslinger, just like the regular guy. Now, the difference between these two, once again, like I said, is one wants to be a little bit more closer than the other, and one needs to actually do back attacks. Whereas this one is more of I just space myself out according to what gun that I got. Last but not least, we have the assassin. We have Deathblade, we have Shadowhunter. Deathblade, more of your typical assassin, quick attacks, bam bam, I'm moving in and out. Shadowhunter, more of a demonic type of assassin with powers of demonic and can transform to be that much more stronger and have a lot more impact on the field. I hope that summed it up. Thank you guys for watching. I do appreciate it. If you guys want to be part of my Poppin' Often with Lofton Club, click that join button down below. Not only do you help support the channel and the content that I create, but you also get special perks. If you guys haven't joined my Discord, please feel free. I'm going to add a Lost Ark channel. You guys can talk about everything Lost Ark. And of course, if you want to be notified for future videos, make sure you hit that thumbs up and you hit that subscribe button. That way I know that you guys want to see more, and that way you guys are notified when I put out more. Thank you guys for watching. Until next time, you know what I always say. Thank you for what? Poppin' Often. will often.